Brother Isa, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, I'm really delighted that after all we've made it.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
The last time there was the snow storm.
Yeah, the weather stopped it a bit, alhamdulillah.
And we had to cancel. But today the weather is almost spring, isn't it?
Yeah, spring came like this.
Yeah.
Yes, alhamdulillah. Good things come to those who wait.
That's a good one. I'm also delighted that we have something in common. We both spent some time in Kuwait.
Yeah, mashallah, it's really nice to hear that. Yeah. I spent about 8 years in Kuwait. So when I ever meet an expat
from which
Kuwait,
year to which year?
This is Muhammad from 8 years, 2013 to 2021.
Recent.
Yeah.
That was recent.
Yeah, mashallah.
Well, I grew up as a child in Kuwait from 1963 to 1974.
MashaAllah. And we were very close districts actually, using Salmiya and Hawali.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Salmiya and Hawali are next to each other.
Yeah, mashallah. But Salmiya has the beach.
Yeah. Now, when you went to Kuwait, you had already been a Muslim.
Yeah, I was a Muslim for a few years, alhamdulillah. Yeah, mashallah.
So how did you know about Islam? Now you're originally from London?
I'm a London boy. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So what's the story behind your conversion?
So mashallah, the amazing thing about London is it's such a melting pot.
Yeah.
Like if you can see a community in the world, we have it in London. So it's really incredible. So in my school, growing up, in secondary school, there was so many different nationalities there.
Which area of London?
In Hackney. In Hackney. Hackney before the Olympics. So it's a different kind of vibe in Hackney. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So there's lots of different communities. And growing up, I had some Muslim friends. And I really liked them, mashallah. They were they were just good people. They were good people in lots of different ways. They never really spoke too much about Islam, but we were friends growing up. And then we stayed in contact in university, but we went to different universities. And then I remember just before my last year of university, they said, we're going to go for a holiday in Spain. So I was like, okay, that's amazing. And it's an Islamic thing. It's like, oh, you haven't kind of done this before. Why are you doing
Which
it now?
Which university did you study?
I went to Royal Holloway and King's College London. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So you went as part of a group to Spain?
Yes, mashallah. So it was there's something called Rosales in Spain, which is near Granada. And there was some Islamic talks there, basically. But it was a very nice atmosphere. So we stayed in dorms. There was a reservoir where we used to swim, had lots of fun. We used to look at the stars at nighttime. It was very nice, mashallah.
All the others were Muslim?
Yeah, actually me and another friend. There was a close group of like 9-10 of us, very good friends. So me and another friend who wasn't Muslim came. We were the only non-Muslims in that group. But again, they were so friendly, mashallah. It was never a thing. Like non-Muslims and Muslims, it was never a thing, alhamdulillah. So then, we played football and stuff, and it came time for the Islamic talk. And I didn't want to go because I wasn't really interested. I like my friends, but for me, especially growing up nominally Christian, I couldn't see the validity in religion, full stop. I could see it as a means to be moral, maybe, but generally as a means to not be moral. It was to kind of impose morality on people and maybe not have it yourself. That's generally sometimes what you see of maybe more famous religious figures. And this is something I had actually. I kind of thought morality was very relative and it's very hard. It would be impossible to have a moral figure because I study history at a reasonable level. And then whenever you see people who are adored, when you hear what happens behind closed doors in their family life or this, or financial transactions, they weren't moral. So that was something I had, like morality for me was very relative.
So that put you off?
Yeah, it put me off kind of religion generally. And again...
was your family religious at all?
No, mashallah, they were moral. They are moral, but they're not religious. My mother's reasonably religious, alhamdulillah. She believes in God. Both my parents believe in God, but they're kind of nominally Christian as well.
So let's go back to Spain. What happened?
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm jumping to and
That's
from.
Okay. No, it's good. It's just to clarify things.
Yeah, bismillah. So I was shy to go into the talk because I didn't want to go, and I also felt bad about coming to it and not going in. So I went in, and then the talk was about Islam, obviously, and it was about the nature of the heart and how the spiritual heart, like the soul, the seat of the heart, and how to protect it and the value of the heart. And really, I don't know what triggered in me, but it was just, it was like a lightning strike. Wow. It just really hit me. And I started crying, like I couldn't stop crying. I was like, wow, what's happening? And it was like someone was just telling me the truth. And I kind of felt like You've lived your life up to this moment to hear this. It was like a real thing.
Do you remember who was giving the talk?
Yeah, Dr. Abdal Hakim Murad.
Oh,
yeah, mashallah.
mashallah.
He's reasonably famous, alhamdulillah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, mashallah. He's very, very amazing speaker. Actually, that's one of the reasons that I came, because there's two people, Muhammad Isa, who used to work at the British Museum and British Library, and Abdul Hakim Murad. And they said they're very good with their words, and I love linguistics.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that, and I thought, wow, there's got to be something in it. And that was an amazing holiday. It was a life-changing experience. So actually, we climbed a mountain in Spain called La Sagra, and it was a difficult climb, or a difficult trek, let's say. And I remember when we reached the top, there was like a visitor's book at the top of the mountain, and I didn't tell any of my friends. But when they'd kind of signed it and stuff, and when they left, I said, "Subhanallah," I said, "I climbed this mountain and found God here," because when you look around and you see it, like what they've just been told and what I'm going through, it's amazing.
Wow.
This is it. And
you wrote that in the book.
Yeah, I wrote that in the book. I don't know if it's still there. It was a while ago now. It's like 18 years ago now. And then interestingly, coming down, the trek was very difficult. So we actually had to slide down sometimes. So as I was sliding down, the soles of my shoes came off. And one of the soles came off. And my friends did, and I said to myself, wow, it's like I lost my old soul and I've gained this new one. It's like a physical metaphor, but it was just very interesting. I kept that for a long time. So, in the process of becoming Muslim, all these things were happening. I went back to London and, I said, God exists. And then my old life got in the way and I was kind of living life, but I still believed in God. And I read the translation of the Quran. And one of the amazing things about the Quran is that many converts say this. You have a question. Sometimes you see Muslim do things. You said, how can that be right? Or you hear something about Islam. You don't know if it's fact or fiction. But you'd open up the Quran and it would be answered. So I found that, and I really kind of came to believe that God exists and Islam is a valid religion. But I didn't want to take the Shahada. Why? I think in my mind is because I didn't want to join a club. I had discovered truth, and I thought truth was kind of more maybe universal or personal.
You wanted to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, no, I wanted to keep it to myself. I didn't want to invalidate the truth by joining a club. And I think maybe I saw, like you're a Christian or you're Muslim. It's a bit like being an Arsenal or Tottenham fan. I think that's how I viewed it, wrongly. So I didn't want to join a club, so to speak. So when people would say you're kind of praying, you know stuff about Islam, you should become Muslim. It's like, no, make me. You can't make me take the Shahada. God knows I believe in him, and that's enough. And my friends they're just amazing people. They're very, very, very gentle. So, and this is for a year, very gentle. Because sometimes you hear stories of people okay, if you don't want to become Muslim, fine. And they'll cut contact and everything else, but they're not like that whatsoever. So then what I did was, I started, again, because of this thing about morality and especially religious and political figures and historical figures, I started to read the Sirah, the biography of the Prophet, the life of the Prophet. I read a few of them. But what I did was, I thought, I know God exists, but this Muhammad guy, he has to have an angle. It can't be as people say, because no one's like that. No one's like that. It's too much. It's it's panegyric. It's like, okay, you're in his club, so you're going to say the best things about him.
So you thought he was too good to be true.
Too good to be true. No one can be like that. It's not possible. And again, I've studied historical, political, religious figures. I did religious history a lot without touching Islam. So then when I read it in the beginning, every time he did something, when the Quraysh threw the inside of a camel on him and he didn't say anything. Okay, I thought at the moment he's just doing that because he's not empowered enough to respond. Or Mrs. Muhammad in the boycott, with the forbearance that he did. And each time I'd try and think of something. When the Bedouins would grab him this. But here, I thought, okay, he doesn't want to show that he's angry. But then I thought about it more. I thought, okay, now he's in Medina. He's kind of like the head of a state, and he's letting people get away with this.
He had power.
He had power. And then, subhanAllah, I always remember reading, and I don't want to do it now, when I read the last page of the Sirah that I read, I just started crying. I didn't want to finish it.
His death.
His death, yeah. And the Sirah, I just didn't want it. It's like it was just such a journey. And then I said after that, I just fell in love. Like
Allah.
stuff. I completely fell in love, and I just said, if he's Muslim, I want to be with him.
How long did that take from your trip to Spain until you embraced Islam?
About a year.
It took a year.
About a year. I think it was from a summer to a summer. But actually, before that, I started praying.
Praying the Muslim way.
Yeah, praying the Muslim way. It wasn't. I mean, I didn't have my shahada.
You learned on your own way.
Yeah. So I just, alhamdulillah. So it wasn't like valid in a lot of the shurut. So I would read in English my prayers. I would do it in prayers. I would do the form. I can't remember if always maybe I don't even know if my aura was covered the whole time completely. But I would pray even Fajr sometimes and that. And then
you designed your own prayer.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, yeah, alhamdulillah. But I was getting in it, and even. I can't remember if it was the whole Ramadan, but at least some of a Ramadan, because it was in the summer when I became Muslim. Ramadan was in the summertime, about
very
20
long
years,
days.
Especially in England.
Yeah.
So I remember my last summer, because we were doing a very early Fajr calculation. I think it was 21 hours.
Yes.
Yes, subhanAllah. So, and actually my wife is a convert as well. I said to her, we picked the wrong time to convert. We should have waited till the winter Ramadans. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
We should interview her sometime.
Inshallah. She's much more charismatic than me. And so yeah, she's a good person to interview.
Now, what happened then when it came to your family? How did they receive that?
It's interesting. So actually I work with converts, and you hear a lot of horror stories. But maybe Allah knows that I'm not very strong or anything like that. So He made things very easy for me.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, mashallah. The Islam is the kafa'ah ni'mah. But my family's reaction, it showed you them as people. So yeah, mashallah, my mum was very, very good about it. So actually they used to get up early for work, and I didn't want to tell them outright because we're very close as a family. And I didn't want to cause discontent or fracture any relations, but I would pray Fajr out loud in the morning. And I remember once my mum said, like, what's that noise in the morning? Like, it's so early. What are you doing? Are you singing? And I was like, no, I'm praying. And then she'd say, like, Amir and Umar, like my friends, and Ramel and them, I'd say, like, yeah. She's like, okay. Because essentially she knew if I was becoming...
She knew your friends.
She knew my friends, and it's hard to know my friends and not like them. So she's like, is it more like, okay, if you're becoming more like them, it's okay. I know it's okay. They're good guys. Then I would stop eating the meat in the house, just because, like, I thought, okay, the Bismillah thing, I don't know. Let's see. I didn't know much about Islam, but I just knew halal and haram. But I thought, okay, the meat isn't halal. I didn't know much then, so I thought, okay, I'm not gonna eat it. So I would have like the veg on the side, and it came to my birthday. It's very interesting. It came to my birthday, and my mum said, okay, what do you want, Craig? What do you want for your birthday meal? So in England, the big thing is a roast dinner. So I said, I'll have a chicken roast, but I won't have the chicken. So give the chicken to you guys. And my mum just looked at me
chickenless.
Like... chickenless roast. That's it. Just give me like the veg on the side. And she said, look, Craig, I'll just buy you a halal chicken. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, she got it. So it was perfect. But they were just amazing here, alhamdulillah. So they went out of their way to buy halal meat. They invited my friends around. When it was kind of like official, I remember, like, subhanAllah, I don't think they realized like how much it meant to me and how special it is, because you often don't get this. But yeah, mashallah, my sister called me up and she said, okay, so you're Muslim now. She said, like, because I don't know anything about it. I kind of just know the jokes. But like, you have to tell me about it because we have to support you and stuff like this. And so this is very rare.
It's a great family.
Oh, they're an amazing family. Really, I don't think they realize how amazing they are. But yeah, sure.
And that makes them more receptive. They would be willing to listen to you.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. They haven't converted yet. With everyone's du'as, inshallah. Allah guides. But yeah, so my brother did the same thing. My brother's also alhamdulillah, very academic, so he knows more about Islam. But yeah, their reception was excellent, alhamdulillah.
Now, it would seem to me that since your friends were Muslim and you were very close to them, you didn't have to change much in your lifestyle, or did you?
So this is the thing sometimes about becoming Muslim. Like I said, I was praying and stuff like that, but I'd kind of given up alcohol. I'd given up alcohol for a while, kind of on and off, because I was very much like a London guy. Like I'd go clubbing 2-3 times a week. like drinking all the time, everything else. I won't go too much into it, but living the life that a non-Muslim lives. So, you know, giving it up is a gradual process. That's probably why it took me so long to convert. But no, alhamdulillah, compared to other people that almost go like, quote unquote, cold turkey Islam, it was much more of a gradual process. But being a Muslim is not like dipping your toes into the ocean of Islam, where you still have the option to drink and everything else. So there definitely were changes.
Yeah.
And obviously some friends float away by them or by me, because when you become Muslim, and this is something lots of converts face, you know, you are still changing your lifestyle. So you're not drinking, you're not going to pubs to meet people, which I was doing very frequently, but trying not to drink and think that, not drinking, having Red Bull. But then I've just completely stopped going to pubs. You're not talking about immoral things and stuff like that as Muslims. You're trying to get as close to Allah as you possibly can. And I really wanted to take that route. I didn't want to have a lukewarm Islam. I wanted to be as much like the Prophet ﷺ as possible. So they're kind of, you do get isolated to some extent from certain friends, and, you know, like navigating Christmas and things like that. What are you doing? And family situations. So like, for instance, my grandfather passing away, that was a tricky one, because when you have the funeral and the service afterwards, it's always in a pub. I went to it, but obviously I didn't drink. But it's just navigating these situations, which can be tricky. But actually it was interesting because my granddad was my best friend, actually. So at the funeral, it was quite difficult, but I was much more together than other people. And then someone said to me, it's because you're Muslim. You've got this thing after like life after death and stuff. You guys, you're holding it together. But it was nice to see that Islam could be that portrayal of, mashallah, like how to deal with loss in the family, alhamdulillah.
And your grandparent knew you were a Muslim?
Yeah. He saw me go to Hajj, actually. So that was, so maybe, yes, it was interesting. So, again, like from a non-Muslim family, when I went to Hajj, when they come to see me off, they came to see me off but I was wearing a distachio. I don't know why I chose that. I was like, okay, I'm going to Hajj. This is what Muslims do. I'm going to wear my distachio. I'm going to wear a thobe. And so I remember him coming down the stairs, and again, we're very close, like, oh, you're like one of those Muslims. But we came down and we had a hug, and like my mum said later, he was shocked. But again, it's a testimony to him that he wasn't like, what's that about? But yeah, mashallah.
So, mashallah, it's almost a smooth conversion.
A very smooth conversion. So Allah is very kind, but in this particular situation, He showed His kindness extremely well.
Now, you spent nearly a year studying before you said the Shahada.
The conversion process, yeah. I don't know about studying, but yeah.
But then afterwards, how was the process of learning?
Alhamdulillah, it was good. I like.
Now you know Arabic now.
A bit, yeah. I know Arabic, alhamdulillah. I mean, I can read the Quran and understand it. I can read Islamic texts and understand them. My listening's okay. My speaking's very slow.
You need to practice, yeah. That's all.
Yeah. This is it, alhamdulillah.
What were you doing in Kuwait?
I was teaching. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I wanted to come to a Muslim country to practice Arabic and kind of study a bit more. We went to Jordan for a short period of time. Then I went to Kuwait. Again, with a fantastic group of brothers.
Teaching English as a foreign language, or what were you teaching?
No, I was in the Islamic schools in Kuwait have a really good system. So it's a K-12 school, a full school system, where they teach a lot of the, what do you call them? So like I don't want to call it academic, the non-Islamic subjects, you know, like math, English, everything else. So I was doing the IB curriculum. Actually, at the beginning, I was teaching middle school for about 6 years or 5 years, and I love that. You know, that age of boys, that's my age. I'm basically a 14-year-old in a 40-year-old's body. So I really like that. And then I was teaching English language, English literature, but like to native speakers, philosophy, history, politics, and epistemology. So I taught lots of things in the end.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But a wonderful experience.
Did you like it in Kuwait?
Oh, I loved it in Kuwait. SubhanAllah, so I was there for 8 years. You know, teaching isn't always fun, but every day I went smiling. Yeah, the people of Kuwait, I love them, alhamdulillah.
Very friendly.
Yeah, mashallah.
Now, I remember when we spoke earlier, you told me about a project you are involved in for reverts.
Yeah.
Tell me something about it.
Alhamdulillah, so I work for a company called Basira, who work generally with dealing with atheism, which is on the rise within Muslims, and deconversions, which means converts leaving or reverts leaving Islam. I do something called...
Is that a trend?
It's a huge trend. So there's a Pew Research, the research body in America, PEW, who have found that 1 in every 4 born Muslims leave Islam.
Oh, born Muslims.
This is born Muslims leaving Islam. So this is a huge tide. And this is someone that will say this semi-openly on a form. So what we call like closet atheism is a big trend.
It's a huge percentage.
It's a massive percentage. And maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's more than that. And then so there'll be other people who won't officially or leave Islam, but their it's a lack of knowledge problem in Islam. So they will say lots of people are like cultural Muslims. So you might be Muslim because your parents are Muslim, or because you're from Egypt, or you're from Pakistan or something. But your love or practice of the religion is next to nothing, and you might think it's true, might not. And living in the West, this happens a lot because of the education system, the society. It's not only a non-Muslim society, which could be difficult or could not be. It's set up to be materialistic, to be based in materialism, to be secular, to be atheist. So it's very hard for people.
So what do you do in Basira?
So we've developed courses that show the rational truth of Islam and how to live as Muslims in the West, especially in today's terms. So we take traditional knowledge, we take traditional Islamic knowledge and make it relevant for today's society. So especially the why Islam is true, which is the kind of like rational proofs of Islam that lots of born Muslims study, we make it true for modern society. And so we try what it is. So we make Islam a fact, not just a cultural preference or a choice. It's a fact. It's a fact like the shining of the sun. And this is true. And you can prove this with evidence. You can prove anything with science. It's got rational proof, of course. So we have a course that do that. And I work on the people who have doubts about Islam, people who are returning to practicing Islam. And especially I run a program called Converts Connect. Alhamdulillah.
Now, how do people apply for these courses?
So yeah, so we can put the link in the comments, inshallah. But we have a course called Why Islam is True for born Muslims, and then I run a program called Converts Connect for converts. And alhamdulillah, this is an excellent program. So the problems that converts have are when you become Muslim, you now need to know about Islam. Not many people find out lots about Islam. It's generally an emotional decision, especially from the amazing people of Gaza. Like how many people have become Muslim because of their example. SubhanAllah, they are the companions of our time, right? So if you're going to think of a people who are like the companions of the Prophet who spread Islam around the world, it's them. And they're spreading it from their character, subhanAllah, and their patience and their forbearance. So lots of people become Muslim, but it's an emotional choice. And when it's an emotional choice, you've got the word choice in there. So when life gets hard, you could choose something else. But when you know Islam is a fact, which it is a fact, but when you know that, it's not that, okay, I don't want to be Muslim anymore. It's that I'm being Muslim, and how do I get through this situation? Which is why we help. So first of all, we prove that Islam is a fact through a course, and I teach it, and we have it online that anyone can access. And then we deal with the other issues, like learning what Islam, about the prayer, what the prayer is, not just the how and the what of the prayer, but the why, making it this divine dialogue, this relationship with Allah that you are privileged to have 5 times a day. So that's one thing that we do. Dealing with isolation, which is the biggest problem in converts. If you ask most converts, that'll be the biggest problem. How to connect with Muslim society and other converts in general that have the same kind of stories and, background and what's happening. So we started a global community. And then we have other courses about how to deal with family rejection, how to present Islam to people, Muhammad, to deal with trauma, bad habits from the past that you want to give up as a Muslim. We teach lots of things like this.
Is there a way of identifying these emotional converts, people who convert because of emotional things, and you want to have them establish themselves in Islam?
So
or do they contact you? How does it happen?
Yeah, they contact. So we do seminars in the UK. We've done seminars in Malaysia, seminars in Turkey. We can do seminars everywhere presenting the course. But most people, until Islam has been proven a fact to them, it's a choice. It's a preference. It is a preference, which means, so when I say emotional, it's not just like, oh, I really love this Ghazan, I want to become Muslim. That's kind of like the front of it. But until you know Islam is a fact, it's a preference, which means you can choose otherwise. Do you see what I mean? So for most people, I'd say it's true to some extent.
And once they know it is the truth, it's no longer just any choice.
No, of course not. So once you know it's a fact, so once you know Allah is a fact, He's a necessary being. Allah is the one who is independent, He's transcendent, He's endless, He's beginningless, He is uniquely one. Once you know that as a fact, then you can now, once you can prove that, then you prove that He sent messengers, and you can prove that. Then you prove that the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a genuine messenger, and that's proven by miracles. And you prove miracles are rationally true. Then you prove that historically he existed and he had miracles, Tawattur, mass transmission. You prove that. So now you can prove the Quran is true. And then when you prove that, you can prove the resurrection is true. So once you go through this process, you're now, mashallah, like a very, very solid Muslim, but you can't leave that. Again, it doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean that you're always going to like it, what's happening to you in life. But you can't say, you know what, prayer's too hard, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. Or, like, my parents, I didn't like them. Maybe they weren't great, but they were Muslims, so I don't like Islam anymore. You come to it with a different perspective, because you know Islam is true, and then that allows you a different perspective and a breadth and how to deal with it in a way that's pleasing to Allah as well, even if it's not always easy.
Now, if we go back to what you told me earlier, that 1 in 4 born Muslims leave Islam.
Yes.
That's for born Muslims.
Yes.
What about those who embrace Islam? Is there also a movement out of Islam among them?
So this is all anecdotal. It's such a shame, because the kind of statistics and research on born Muslims, it's a growing body of research with reverts, converts, new Muslims. There's next to nothing out there. And there's some people are really trying. I guess it doesn't have the funding or the momentum at the moment. So there's anecdotal data.
We don't have a proper study.
No, but there's anecdotal data. Some go as high as 7 out of 10, which is incredibly high. But I don't know what they mean here by deconversion and stuff like that. But generally, we could say that perhaps maybe even half of people who embrace Islam leave Islam. But it's anecdotal. Yeah.
Well, Brother Isa, it's been really a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. May Allah bless you.
Ameen Jami'an.